As a luxury real estate agent here in New York City, one of the questions I get asked the most is, what should I buy? A new development or a pre-war home? In this video, I'm going to give you the pros and cons of both. My name is Chris Jordan. I'm a luxury real estate agent here in New York City, and this is my breakdown on pre-war versus new development. Buyers in New York City fall under two categories. You have buyers that want the New York City classical charm. Then you have buyers that value efficiency and amenities. I think once you know which one you value, the decision becomes clear. So let's break down both. New developments is all about efficiency and amenities. Let's start with amenities because a lot of new development buildings are built around the amenities. New development is all about amenities, amenities, amenities. I've seen new developments with full soccer fields, Olympic-sized pools, NBA-sized basketball courts. I mean, whatever you're looking for in regards to amenities, there's a new development that has it. When it comes to efficiency, if it's a sponsor unit, you're obviously going to be the first one to live in it. But also, HVAC is new, elevator is new, plumbing is new, electrical is new. So you shouldn't have too many problems in the first few years with a new development. In the beginning, you have relatively low maintenance costs because a lot of these things are new. Now, these costs do go up as the building age, but the beginning is just more efficient. Furthermore, a lot of the new developments have an easier application process, so investors love this, international buyers love new developments. Now, when it comes to the drawbacks of new developments, not only can the price be a little bit higher, but a lot of the closing costs, you take on some developer fees. I made a video on closing costs, so we won't go too in depth on that. Just watch my closing costs video, but not only can the buying price be a little bit higher, but the closing costs can be higher as well. So that's one of the major drawbacks in regards to new developments. War homes give you real New York character. So you got arched doorways, crown molding, fireplaces, thicker walls. Just some of the materials that pre-war homes were made with, it's just physically impossible for new developments to build with. Pre-war homes definitely give you an identity that you just can't build today. Also, just to end this, I think a lot of what pre-war building represent is a community feel. You know, a lot of the pre-war buildings, they're not large buildings, they are co-ops. So co-ops do really control who moves into their building. I'll tell you a quick story. I was actually in a pre-war building and it had a manual operated elevator, and what come with the manually operated elevator is a conductor. So the conductor goes floor to floor picking up each resident, and I just thought it was a real unique experience. He told me he'd been doing it for 35 years. He know every resident in the building, and I thought that was very, very interesting. That's just something you can't find in a new development. Now, when it comes to some drawbacks in regards to pre-war, if amenities is something you value, like we spoke about in the new developments, then you might want to shy away from pre-war apartments because pre-war apartments don't have the glitz and glam. You may have a small gym at the most, so it's not going to have a lot of amenities. You also may have some monthly building assessments because obviously these buildings want to keep the plumbing and electrical up to date, so that do come with a cost. I think the last thing, right? The last drawback in regards to pre-war buildings is obviously the co-op board. Now, we won't do an in-depth analysis on co-op boards. I have my condo versus co-op, and you can really go watch that video to just learn a little bit more about the board approval process. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've heard some stories on co-op board approvals. Look, it all depends, right? So I think because of the stories and because of the negative connotation around board approvals, it do shy a lot of buyers away. So that's one of the drawbacks in regards to pre-war homes is definitely the board. And then if you want to be an investor, some co-ops don't even allow pied-à-terre buyers. So, you know, it can get tricky in regards to pre-war. But like I said in the last section, I think that allows them to keep a community base and really structure and control who moves into the building. And that's one of the pros. So the law of fair exchange, sometimes you got to give to get. You know, to get that community base, sometimes you just have to have a strict approval process. Let's talk about appreciation, right? Because I get asked this all the time. When it comes to appreciation in regards to pre-war versus new development, I'll say this, pre-war is a lot of cut and dry because we have a lot of data. Some of the most positive pricing trends, upward pricing trends have come from pre-war buildings in New York City. Pre-war buildings are very nostalgic. They have a lot of history. There obviously will be no more pre-war buildings built. Like I said, they're made with material we just can't build with anymore. So the demand is high. They're also in great neighborhoods, great locations in the Upper East Side, Upper West Side, great Central Park views, West Village. So the demand for pre-war buildings will always be there. Pre-war buildings are safer than new developments. But new developments also offer appreciation. Now, we don't have the data like we do for pre-war buildings, but this is what I always tell buyers. There's 2 things to look out for. Number 1, I say bet on the developer. And what I mean by that, we may not have data on the exact building, but we could definitely get data on the developer. If it's a developer that has developed in a city before, we can see how his development's developed, right? And I think that's a great thing because it tells a lot about how this building will do. So if the developer has developed in a city, we definitely could look at data on some of the buildings they develop. Number 2, which probably should have been number 1, is bet on the location. As I spoke about in regards to the pre-war buildings, there's just some locations that we know there always will be a demand for. Upper East Side, Upper West Side, West Village, things of that nature, there will always be demand for great locations. Now, sometimes that even gets tricky, right? So I always think it depends on your timeline. And what I mean by that, I think you may want to, if you are looking at appreciation, 5-year appreciation versus 10 to 15 is 2 different things, right? 5-year, you want to get one of the locations we discussed, but when we're speaking on 10 to 15, let's look at a location like the financial district. It is going to be hard to find cut and dry data on the financial district because the transformation of the financial district now from what it will look like in 10 to 15 years is going to be drastically different. So it all depends, right? Sometimes you got to make an educated guess and sometimes you can depend on the data. I love depending on the data, but sometimes you also got to use your best analysis and what you know. For example, bringing the financial district back, I know the transformation that's coming in the coming years. I know the restaurants, I know the field they're trying to go for. So I'll bet on the financial district if you're looking long term, but it all depends. It all depends about your goals. Let's talk about who each one is actually for, starting with new development. I think if you're looking for a starter condo, you're a young professional looking for a starter condo, you want low maintenance, not too much of a headache, I definitely think new development will be for you. That modern feel, you like glass towers, views, things of that nature. There's a lot of new developments that offer that. I also think international buyers, pied-à-terre investors, because the application process is just much smoother, much easier, much cut and dry. If you want to rent it out, you don't have to go through a board approval, things of that nature. So I definitely think first-time home buyers looking for a starter condo, somebody that's looking for efficiency, low maintenance, and then international buyers, pied-à-terre, and investors. And then let's talk about somebody that's looking for amenities. I know you guys are gonna be like, Chris, you started the video with amenities first. But let's talk about amenities for a second. Because amenities are the glitz and glam, and I always tell buyers, right? Really decide which amenities you're gonna use because you're gonna be charged for those amenities. The price is baked in depending on the amenities. So I'm somebody who, I like to swim, I like to play basketball, and I like to work out. Should I buy into a building? So let me tell you an example. There's a building in Williamsburg, and it's a great building, great use of resources. They take the outdoor pool and they change it into a skating ring for the winter. And I think that's awesome. But you also have to think logically. I don't know how to ice skate. So should I go to a building and say, oh, I'm gonna learn how to ice skate because my building got a skating ring? That's probably not very realistic. I was with a buyer and we were in a building that had a pet spa and they just loved that the building had a pet spa. So I asked what kind of dog they have and they didn't have a dog. So, always really sit down. Don't be emotional about it. Really sit down and decide which amenities you're gonna use because I'm in and out of buildings all the time and Maybe I'm going at the wrong time, but I don't really see people using the amenities. So the amenities can be, parsley. It can be a little parsley. It could be decoration. And you don't never want to buy into my opinion, right? This is just my opinion, but you don't want to buy into a building and pay extra for a unit because of nice amenities. Really decide on which amenities you're going to use. Just my opinion in regards to that. I think pre-war buildings are for buyers who really is into character, right? Almost think character over luxury, character over lifestyle. They don't need too many amenities, but they want something that's built with great material, something that's gonna appreciate, and something that's just in a great location. And I think an underrated component of this is you almost get a piece of New York history as an asset, right? A lot of these pre-war buildings are in locations in neighborhoods with a lot of history. And lastly, families who need real room proportions. I think a lot of pre-war buildings have real room proportions. I know everybody say New York City is small. There's a lot of pre-war buildings that give you a lot of space, right? So I think if you're really looking for that, if you're looking for something that's just built with great material, great for entertaining, pre-war buildings may be something you should consider. That hopefully you know your answer by this point in the video. If not, you can always shoot me an email if you have any particular questions. I'm always open to answer any questions you may have. My name is Chris Jordan. I'm a luxury real estate agent here in New York City. I do have other videos in regards to this, the buying process in New York City, some neighborhood guides, and I tour some apartments on this channel as well. So if that's something that interests you, comment, like, subscribe, and I will also have more videos for you to watch right here. Thank you for joining me. My name is Chris Jordan, and I will see you on the next video. Happy holidays and stay warm.